Vocal Alchemy celebrates Bianca Baykara. Bianca is a music theatre graduate of the National Institute of Dramatic Art, and her performances include The King and I, Pacific Overtures, Singing in the Rain, An Officer and a Gentleman, and she has also been a Rob Guest Endowment Award semi-finalist for 2012 to 13.
Bianca, hello. Welcome back from New York. Was that an adventure and a half?
It was the adventure of a lifetime. I'm so glad that I made it a big priority to get over to Broadway, and I had such a great time. I saw a lot of Broadway shows, so I'm very broke at the moment because of that. But the first time I saw snow fall in New York was pretty exciting.
Well, thank you for talking to us today, and we are so thrilled here at Vocal Alchemy to be able to celebrate your success. So we're just going to find out a little bit about you and hope that you can share with us some of the tricks of the trade and what inspires you and has driven you to greater heights. So tell us a little bit about yourself first. So tell us, where were you born?
I was born here in Melbourne. I've lived in the eastern suburbs my entire life. So I grew up, I went to a local high school, which was a public school, and we didn't really have a music program at our school. I did the school musical in Year 7 and Year 8, and then after that our music teacher left the school, and so music wasn't even offered as a subject after Year 10. So I studied science instead, and I went to the Melbourne University and I did a Bachelor of Science, which I didn't finish. I'm very proud to have studied it, and I'd love to finish it one day, but I went to New York with Centre Stage Performing Arts School, and it was while I was there that I sort of realised that this is what I want to do. I saw Chicago on Broadway. That was the first show I saw. I just fought through the jet lag. I didn't sleep at all. Everyone was sleeping around me, but I just thought it was so magical, and I love that show. It's really kind of special to me now, I guess, that it was the first Broadway show I ever saw. And I decided this is what I want to do. So I left uni and I did whatever I could to try and make my dreams come true.
So Bianca, what was it that you saw, or what was it that you felt, you know, that moment where you went, I have to do this. I know this is what I want to do. This is my calling. Do you know what that was?
I think it was the culmination of, I never knew growing up. I'd never seen a musical until I saw The Lion King, actually, when I think I was about 15 or 16. So I didn't know what musicals were. I remember thinking that it was a really amazing experience, but I didn't think that I wanted to be in Broadway shows then. I don't know what it was that didn't make that connection to me. I knew I wanted to be a pop star, or I wanted to be in Eurovision, or I wanted to be a singer. Like Jennifer Lopez was a big inspiration for me. So I knew I loved performance in that way. I think seeing Chicago on Broadway really made it come full circle for me. It made me realize that these women, and it's such a great show for women as well. I think they're such great roles, and that these women are so strong and so fully formed in performance. And that to me seemed like such a pinnacle and something that I could aspire to. That maybe one day if I train hard enough, I could be in a show like Chicago. Their voices were absolutely
extraordinary,
foolproof.
Yeah. So that leads.
It was amazing.
That leads me to my next question. What inspires you to sing?
I think I'm a little bit geared towards this kind of creative life. I feel like I feel a whole gamut of emotions that can only be expressed through song. Now I feel like what inspires me to sing is what I feel going on, and that I can help tell a story to give an audience member an experience.
Yeah,
I think I'm inspired by performers that give me an emotional experience.
So they absolutely, they take you on a journey. Yeah.
Yes.
So you know, you hear them sing, and it doesn't leave you where it finds you.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's it. And that's what I found going into a Broadway show is you come out a different person. And we learnt a lot about Greek theatre at NIDA. And I remember some of my classmates who were a bit younger than me at the time, maybe they were straight out of high school. And I remember a lot of them were complaining, oh, why do we have to learn about Greek theatre? What's this got to do with musicals? But what we can learn from the history of theatre is that theatre has been something that's been around for hundreds of years, and it is holding up a mirror to society. And people go and see theatre and they get an emotional response to either a villain or something terrible is happening. And you learn lessons through that, which I think is pretty cool. It gets people talking.
I think it's fantastic, you know, and it's why I do what I do, and I'm pretty sure it's why we all do what we do. So, yeah. So how long have you been performing?
I have been performing professionally since I graduated from NIDA, which was 2010. I had, prior to getting in, when I decided I wanted to do music theatre, I went and did a music theatre class at Centre Stage Performing Arts School, and I was in that class for 2 years, and it really kind of opened up my eyes. So I performed in a few amateur shows here in here in Melbourne. That was kind of like a pre-professional training for me. I learned so much doing those shows.
So would you recommend for young singers that they would go and audition for those shows and get in and experiment? Would you recommend that they do that?
Definitely. I think you have to be conscious that that you're choosing a production that will be good quality and that you think the director has a good vision to do. I think sometimes there can be a bit of a stigma about doing amateur shows that they're not very good or there won't be good people involved. But I think there are a lot of companies that are doing shows that are almost professional standard or at a professional standard. I did a show called Miss Saigon with a company here in Melbourne called CLOC. And it was such an experience for me. I played the lead role of Kim, which was wonderful. And I probably learnt more doing that show and that performance experience of performing a 3-hour musical every night for, I think we did 3 weeks of performances. That was equally as good training for me as being in a classroom doing a class. I think they're different kind of skills that you're learning, performance skills and rehearsal skills. So I definitely think it helped me have the edge when I went to the auditions for drama schools like NIDA and WAPA. Oh,
that's a wonderful piece of advice. Really is a wonderful piece of advice. Because I know we have a question coming up later, the difference between performance and practice, and you can elaborate on that, or you can elaborate on that right now. Like you can actually say, what have you discovered? What's the essential difference between practicing, and practicing a piece and then doing it in performance? Like, tell us about that.
When I was at NIDA, one of our acting teachers was Kevin Jackson, and I remember him saying very clearly that he said the difference between an amateur and a professional actor is the ability to reproduce your performance. So that kind of stuck with me because up until that time in NIDA, I would get really nervous about showing my performance to people. So I'd rehearse on my own, but then I'd get such anxiety about performing in front of an audition panel or for my friends and colleagues to practice. I actually never wanted to show anyone my performance until the very last moment, which I think kind of hindered me a lot. Do you think that the reason that occurs is because you want it to be perfect? Do you think that need to be perfect can often stand in the way of creativity and discovery and all of that sort of thing? Definitely. I think I couldn't separate at the time because I was young. Know the difference between me as a person and my performance. And so I felt like if my performance was being criticised, then someone was telling me that I wasn't any good, and so I was scared for that to happen, so I'd make such a big deal about it and be terrified to be told that I wasn't good enough. So,
Bianca, that's such a really, for performers, that's such a really clear distinction, and that you have that so early is wonderful. I mean, I know that because what we do is so emotional, like really emotional, that we tend to think that our art is who we are.
Yes.
And are validated by the performance that we do. And, you know, there comes a lot of the, you know, the struggling performer mentality, because the two are so, well, are easily linked, you know, whereas you've obviously very early made that very clear distinction and gone, this is my performance, but this is me.
Yes.
You know,
I think, I think I had to stay sane. So I think having that distinction and having my teachers tell me that as well, say that I'm not just a performer, I'm a human being as well. So that really helped me to stay sane and to stay resilient as well. And when I do get knockbacks, I just go, okay, maybe I don't look right. Maybe they need a blonde girl, or maybe they can't imagine me in that role because I'm too tall or too short.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm not good. So sometimes, you know, you can sound like you're, you have to be that voice in your head saying, keep going, keep going. You are good enough. At the same time, though, I try to get feedback on my performance because I always want to improve. I have really strong goals that I want to work towards, and any help and feedback along the way is 100%. I'm ready to take it on board because I know.
Yeah, wonderful attitude. It's really important, you know, if you can. Like I think about it like a rocket ship, you know, when a rocket ship goes off course, that's its trajectory, you know, and it takes its coordinates, or it recalibrates. And really all we're doing when we are taking feedback, if we can unemotionalize it and go, actually what I'm doing is recalibrating, and not get involved with the emotional side of it and beat up on yourself and go, I'm actually not very good, or I'm this or I'm that, which is the dialogue that I know a lot of performers get into, because it's the questions that I'm asked all the time, you know, how did you keep on keeping on, and how do you do this and how do you do that? And a lot of them is, you know, which is one of the questions that we're going to talk about. In fact, let's talk about it now.
Yeah.
Your self-talk. What is, you know, like when you, what do you do to counteract that negative self-talk when it rears its ugly head? And I know it often rears its ugly head with a lot of performers, you know.
Yes.
So what do you do when it's that little voice is going, you can't do it, you're not good enough, you're not doing it?
I like to think I get talk like that all the time. I think sometimes people say, oh, you're so positive, Bianca, and they think that I don't get that talk, but in reality I definitely try to, you know, notice that I'm thinking that and then move on straight away. So I don't try not to dwell on those thoughts because I don't think that they're helpful in any way whatsoever.
So do you replace them?
Yes. I have things written around my bedroom, no matter where I'm living, whether I'm on my apartment mirror in Sydney. I wrote things, qualities that I wanted to see in myself. So I wrote determined, and I wrote dedicated. I wrote positive. I wrote all sorts of things, and so every morning when I'd wake up, I'd look at those words and think, yeah, that's who I'm choosing to be today. I think it's really easy to, like, let's say I've been cut in the first round for a few auditions that I've thought that I might be right for that show. I just always tell myself, that's cool, it's not right for me. I can't wait to find out what show is going to be right for me because I didn't get that job.
That's a great attitude.
Yeah. I think
resilience. That's really good. It's great work, Bianca, to have that. And you know, and to just clearly, you know, I try to go along the lines of not going it's right or it's wrong, but it's just different.
Yes.
You know, and that's part of the creative thing. I think the creative mindset is it's not right or it's wrong. It's just different.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not right or wrong for the part. I'm different to the person they've chosen.
Yes.
And different in, you know, and and be happy with that, which it's wonderful. It's a very, I'm sure it's standing you in great stead.
Yes. So I do also, before I walk into the audition room, thing that I say to myself, and I hope it's okay that I share this. It might come across a bit silly, but I find it really helps to put me in a great mood.
Yeah.
Monitor might say to you, "Oh, you're next to go in."
Yeah.
I always like to have a bit of private time, and I try to connect with myself, and I say, "I can't wait to go in that room and knock them dead."
Great.
So it's not about getting the job. It's not about doing anything other than showing them who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like not in a rude way, but it's kind of like, here I am in all my glory, and you can take me or leave me. That's cool. As long as I feel like I've done a good performance, then that's all that matters. And the outcome is irrelevant.
That leads me to the next question. So, Bianca, tell us, what is it like and how do you feel when you see yourself sing?
When I watch a video of myself singing, I truly feel like I cannot have an objective view of my performance. Sometimes I'll watch it back and I'll think, okay, that sounds pretty good. I feel like I'm doing, what I've thought I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can watch that very same video and later in the week or something and cringe and think, oh, that sounds terrible. I can't believe no one told me how terrible that was. I'm very self-critical, I think, of my performance. I always can hear things that I can want to improve on. And I'm also critical of the acting in the video.
Mm-hmm.
I think I never rehearse to a mirror. I think that's bad practice, and I was always taught to never practice in front of a mirror because you're not truly then concentrating on delivering the text. You're concentrating on contorting your face, which is bad.
You've come outside of yourself. Or you've come outside of the character. Yeah, I
think so. So watching a video back is sometimes the first time I ever see myself perform, and I think, oh, what is my face doing? Oh, what are my eyebrows doing? How is that helping tell the story? I think that I'll never watch a video of myself perform and think, yeah, I knocked it out of the park. I think I'll always see little things that I'll want to improve on, which is a shame.
No, it's not. I think that's what keeps us creative, and I think that's the artist's mindset, is to always, a higher, stronger, faster, better, better communication, all of that sort of thing. I think it's good. So do you think that, maybe setting up a video camera and videoing yourself and then leaving it and then coming back to it in a day or so and having a look and going, oh, what am I doing with my face, is a good tool?
Definitely.
But not singing in front of a mirror.
Yeah. I would say never to sing in front of the mirror because, like you said, it's you're out of the performance zone. You're concentrating on yourself, so you're not truly connected to your breath or to anything truthful. So I think videoing and watching that, and you can see in your performance if you've glazed over something that might be important.
Absolutely.
I think that shows with time. I like to get started on my audition songs and my audition material really early because I think every time I sing a song, I will find something in the lyrics or find a nuance that I hadn't thought about before. And maybe that improves with time. Maybe I'll get quicker at doing that and more efficient. But for me, at least, I need to sing a song like 20 or 30 times before I feel like I'm truly settling into it.
Absolutely. So, Bianca, what makes you choose the audition material that you choose, or in fact the songs that you decide you want to just perform?
I always like to work with my vocal coach. So in this case, it's Tim, and he always really helps me with my choices. I'll say I want to sing this song, and he won't let me get away with it easily. He'll ask me, why do I want to sing it? I think I'm attracted to songs that the character and the lyrics have something in there that I feel resonates with me.
So you choose your songs for the journey and the journey of the character. And
definitely,
yeah.
I think that arc is what's important. Self apart and like I said before, the showing the panel who you are,
Yep.
and I think that comes through in my personality. I hope that when I audition, the panel can see me as a unique individual and a unique artist, and that I have qualities that I can offer their production, and whatever character I'm auditioning for.
Amazing. Now, do you have a dream future planned? And if so, what do you do, and what steps do you take on a daily basis to bring that into fruition?
I have big dreams, and I think that can be scary sometimes because it seems like so far away. But I think you're right. I have a whiteboard at home that I write my goals on. So sometimes that's a specific show or a specific character. But I like having a goal. I remember when the auditions for The King and I were announced. I wrote that on my whiteboard because I love Rita Moreno. I think she's a wonderful performer and someone that I aspire to be like. So her being in The King and I was kind of exciting to me. But then I thought about what do I have to do to get there. So my soprano was not the focus of my voice a few years ago. I was mostly belting, and so what did I do? Every day I practiced my scales and worked with Tim actually a lot on the material from The King and I, and getting that legit soprano sound, so that when I arrived at the auditions, they saw me for the principal role of Tup Tim, which is very operatic in style, and I was very, very fortunate and grateful, to be called back for that role numerous times. And I didn't end up getting that lead role, but I was stoked to be in the ensemble. I got to sing top A's alongside some opera singers, so that was pretty exciting to me.
That's very exciting, especially, you know, having set, like if we go back, you set that as a goal. You know, you went King and I, and then you worked backwards, which is like actually a very clever thing to do. King and I, what do I need to do? What are the skills I need? And how much work do I need to bring myself up to a level or gain those new skills to make myself employable in that area? That's very, 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 that's a smarts, you know, that's a different kind of smarts. That's a business smarts. It's looking at yourself as a business.
But definitely for the future, I mean, I'm lucky enough to be a dual citizen of Australia, and I have citizenship for Cyprus, which is where my dad was born. It means that I can work in London without a visa. So I'm really happy to be working in Australia at the moment. I think that we have some really top quality shows. We've got great working conditions. We earn good money. And Australia is obviously a beautiful country. So I'm really stoked to be working here at the moment. But it's definitely something that I'd like to do is work internationally. So a goal for me is to be in a West End show. I give myself a time span of 5 years.
Okay. A time span is good. A time span is good.
5 years ago, when I was, you know, I was a little 19-year-old and auditioning for drama schools, I never thought I was good enough at all, you know, to even get through a first round. I didn't know, because even though I did those performing arts classes, I was never the top of the class. I was never the favourite. I felt like I had to work so hard to even be alongside the other girls in that class. So I constantly set new goals, and it's amazing to me that I'm employed as a singer or a performer, that someone thinks I'm good enough to give me money to do that. So I feel like it's okay to dream big as long as you have those steps in place and you're realistic about how you can achieve that.
Fantastic. Great advice. Great advice, Bianca. So, so VA has video lessons, and do you feel that when you use those video lessons that your improvement is the same as when you're in the room with Tim?
Yes, 100%. I did a video lesson right before an important audition that I had, a callback, which was in a pop style. So coming out of doing The King and I, which is very legit, I really lost a lot of confidence in my belt. And with Tim being away on tour with The Lion King, I kind of didn't know where to turn. So the video came at a really, really great time. And I remember I was in my bedroom singing along. My poor mum was probably thinking, what is she doing in the middle of the night? It was the night before my callback. And I did a lesson on contemporary resonance. And I think that the exercises, whether you're in the room or at home, Tim is so clear on what it is that you need to achieve that there's no room for getting confused or not getting it right. The dialogue that I found that I had in the video, like Tim would ask a question like, can you hear that or can you feel that? And I was talking back to the video.
Going, I can feel it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can feel that. That feels different. Oh, I'm making better sounds. I can hear it. Yeah.
100%. And also, like, Tim kind of, he knows where people might go wrong. So while we were doing the exercises, I think he stopped and he said, oh, make sure you're doing this and not that. So there's no room to get confused, and the improvement that I heard was straight away. And it's terminology that is easy to understand. I've had teachers before that try to explain things really technically. I have no idea what my throat looks like on the inside, and imagining, you know, certain visualizations sometimes doesn't work for me. Maybe it's because I didn't study that at university, music, or, you know, the throat. I don't know what it is. But for me, really clear explanations and physical things like, you know, imagine Tim talks about the elastic band when you're belting and the pullback. That to me is a really clear, easy way to feel what I'm meant to be doing, instead of, you know, tilt this and you know, feel your larynx moving a quarter of an inch or whatever. I don't know what that feels like. I don't know what that means. Yeah, I just know the way Tim explains things really makes sense to me.
That's fantastic. I know it's one of the things we have a lot of people say to us, oh, but how do you learn to sing online? You know, you really need to be in the room with the person. And we know that the way we developed Vocal Alchemy was that Tim would anticipate the sounds and say, if you're hearing this, it's incorrect. So, you know, he's really teaching you to listen, you know, and we built in the ability to record yourself so you can be send it through for a diagnostic and all of those sorts of things. Because really what we wanted to be able to do was to be there for the singer, you know, on tour, on a ship, wherever, out in the country. You know, if people can't get to a lesson, at least they can have a lesson, you know, so that you can sing. That was really our thinking in creating Vocal Alchemy. So can I ask you, what singer inspires you?
My favourite singer is Lea Salonga.
Okay.
I think she's had a really great career, and she's played some roles that I would like to play. She's the voice of Princess Jasmine, which is my dream role in the Broadway production that is now come to fruition. I saw that in New York, and it was really thrilling for me. I think that she's got a really great technique, and I think that she is really true to herself in that she sounds like Lea Salonga all the time. She's not trying to emulate a sound or try to make a sound that's in fashion at the moment.
So you're talking about authentic voice. She's using her authentic voice. Yeah.
And I think that her storytelling comes through no matter what she's doing. And that's something that Tim and I talked about a lot. Was when I started with Tim, was I was making a lot of sounds but not connecting that to my acting, which was kind of a hurdle that I wanted to overcome. And we worked really hard at changing that and my perception of singing as being making sounds and then you're acting on top of that. It should be connected and it should be one. And I think that she's great at that. I think she was a child prodigy, though. You know, she's kind of like a a special circumstance, but it's something for me to aspire to.
That's wonderful.
I really,
you know, I think we should all at all times have, you know, someone we aspire to, and also, you know, someone that we teach.
yes,
You know, I think it's really important to keep us balanced as individuals, to always have something to reach for and have someone we are helping at the same time, you know, of being of service too.
So I'm constantly looking at the women, especially in Australian theatre. I think we are really kind of spoiled that we have some great leading ladies here.
We absolutely do.
Alinta Chidzey is another one of them. I think Alinta is amazing. And we performed in Singing in the Rain together. So every show that we did, I'd always do my costume changes really quickly and stand in the wings and watch Alinta, because I felt like I learnt a lot from watching her performance and the choices that she made. And I'd like to play the roles that she plays one day. So I'm always trying to learn from those that I look up to.
That's wonderful, Bianca. It's because you have a vision, and you know you've got your vision and you've got your steps to get there, and doing that, whether you've written it down or not, is part of the steps of getting there.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, it's aspiration, and aspiration is part of inspiration. You know, nobody needs to tell you to do it. You just do it, you know. So what are the top 3 things that people should know in order to be successful, do you think? Just top 3 things.
I think number 1 is that it won't be easy and that it'll be hard work and that you will get frustrated with yourself.
Yeah.
I think that it's not helpful to get frustrated at others because you can't control that, but you can control how you respond to things. So take a deep breath and know that it's not going to be all smooth sailing. I think that discipline is really important. I think if you learn early on to make a schedule or to prioritize your practice, that the results will speak for themselves, and the improvement will show. It's inevitable. If you practice every day or you make a commitment to practice for a certain amount of time, the results will speak for themselves. And thirdly, I think always remember the joy. And why you want to perform and how it makes you feel. I think a lot of people can get bogged down in the politics or can say, oh, it's so unfair, this person's not very good and they get jobs and I don't get jobs. And I think that's unhealthy and it doesn't lead to a good mindset. So to remember why you love to do it and to stay positive, I think.
Great.
A great career.
Oh, they're great. That's great, Bianca. They're wonderful words of advice. Thank you for that.
No worries.
Now, one of the questions I was going to ask is, what piece of advice would you give, one piece of advice would you give a beginning singer?
Always sing with your heart.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. I think because that's something that Tim taught me.
Yep.
Because when you're singing, when you're, let's say you're straightening your hair and you're practicing your song, you know, thinking about what you're going to do that night, it's not really good practice. It's not really helpful. So always being present and in the moment, and really give singing the respect that it deserves in a way, that it is an art and that it's not something to be taken just wishy-washy, to put full effort in and to always be true to yourself, I think.
Great advice. Really good advice. So, maintenance tips to stay on top. Yeah. What are your maintenance tips to stay on top?
I make my health and fitness a big priority. I think that has kind of helped me remain mentally sane and physically able to meet the demands of this career. I think drink a lot of water. I drink like at least 3 liters of water a day. Too often people are eating really badly and going out drinking, and that might work for a short term, but you have to think about the longevity of your career and realize that your body is your tool for singing and acting and dancing, really. So I think exercise, diet, getting enough sleep as well. I know it sounds a bit boring, but taking care of yourself will really pay off in your career. And I think it helps my positivity as well. That I feel like I'm well-rounded. I'm happy. I'm relaxed. Try to reduce stress as well. So I think drinking a lot of caffeine makes me feel stressed. So I've recently gone caffeine-free, which was really hard at first, but it's really paid off.
It's lovely to hear. Really lovely to hear, and they're great tips because we think it's paramount. Exactly what you're talking about. You are what you eat, and you are whatever you do consistently pays off. So if you eat badly, it's going to pay off in its way. If you eat better, that's going to have its rewards as well. So really, what you practice and what you do is what you become. And what you emanate on a daily basis is what we think. So it's really lovely to hear that you believe that is mega important as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So, wonderful, wonderful answers. It's been a wonderful interview, and I want to ask you, what's next?
I am currently about to start rehearsals for In the Heights, which is going to be on at Chapel of Chapel in February and March. It's the Australian premiere. It's a show that I've loved for years. It won the Tony Award in 2008. And I always thought it would never come to Australia because it's about a very specific Latin community in New York. And a company called Stage Art is producing it. I went along to the auditions and I was very lucky to get cast as Vanessa.
Oh, congratulations, Bianca. That's really exciting.
Thank you. So I'm really excited to jump in.
Thank you so much for your time and your beautiful energy and your spirit, and for being so accommodating and sharing your knowledge and your career with us. And we are so happy to have you as a VA advocate, ambassador. It's just wonderful, Bianca. So,
I'm shouting it from the rooftops. I know.
Yeah. So we wish you luck. And, we maybe will do another interview in a couple of years' time.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm sure you'll have ticked all of the things on your list by then.
I hope so. I'll keep working until I do.
Okay.
So.
All right. Thank you very much, Bianca.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.